Doesn't look like the audience has changed very much, and that's probably good. Thank you. We'll call the Cross Lake City Council meeting to order. The date today is Monday, March 9th, and we'll open with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We all have a copy of additions to the agenda in front of us, I believe. I don't know where mine went. Were there additions?
Just bills for approval.
Just this one sheet.
Okay. Motion to approve?
Also move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a public hearing scheduled for 7:15. While we wait for that time to elapse, we will move on to item C, the consent calendar. The consent calendar, the items listed here are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be acted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless one of us, a council person or a citizen, wants more clarification or an issue on one of the items herein. I thought I had an issue, but I got that resolved before the meeting. I'll need a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So move.
Second?
I'll second.
Hearing a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Remind me when 7:15 comes up. We just got through with a nice public forum, but we will have good time to open the podium to a public forum. No action will be taken on any of these issues if so raised. If appropriate, the issues will be placed on subsequent agendas on future council meetings. The speaker must state their name and address, and each speaker is given a 3-minute time limit. However, they can have more if requested before they start. More time. Anybody got another issue? You want to re-announce the St. Patty's Day Parade?
We do want to re-announce the St. Patty's Day Parade. I'm Cindy Mugato. I'm with the Cross Lake Chamber. And I just want to give a shout out to the city, to Ted Strand and his crew at Public Works who have worked tirelessly for the last couple weeks getting all the snow out of town. Bob Hartman and the police department for working with us to make sure that all the logistics are in place so that we can have a safe parade, and to Chip Low-Miller and the fire department, will be on the road as well with EMT service, and the fire trucks will be in the parade also. So I think we're all set. Another thank you to the businesses for really coming out and supporting the parade. We have more than 30 financial sponsors and another rack of at least 20 businesses who have offered in-kind sponsorships for big and small things that come up, but they're very much embracing the whole parade, and we're looking forward to a really fantastic weekend.
I just want to add, my name is Mike O'Connell, 35411 Riverwood Court, Cross Lake. I am the St. Patrick's Day Chair for the St. Patrick's Day Parade and Celebration, 41st Annual. We've continued with the business support to expand on the parade each year for the last few years, and over the great haul of the parade, 41 years. It wouldn't be able to be done without the businesses, along with the staff of the city, the police, as Cindy said, police, fire department, and the city services with Ted Strand. It also wouldn't be as as well-organized and directed as without Cindy Mugato and the Chamber's involvement. I had the benefit of working with both Ruth Ann Lindstrom when she was running Cross Lake portion, and had great success with her. But Cindy has definitely taken this role over the last 5-6 years and brought it to another level that makes the committee run smoother, makes it easier to go through the chamber at every level, Cross Lake along with Greater Lakes as a whole, and it makes a big difference. So I appreciate her guidance on that. It makes it fun for all committee members and to be volunteering and giving more of our time to that and make it a successful and safe parade. So just want to thank you all, and we look forward to you being there. Each year we look at different features to add in different ways to not only bring it to the parade, but bring to Cross Lake. And the last couple of years, a good benefit for Cross Lake and exposure for the city is that will be happening again this week. We have time spots on WCCO morning radio. So we are reaching the Twin Cities and social media and all aspects to make this an event that stands out throughout not only our community, but the whole state. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Cindy. Yes, St. Patrick's Day is a big celebration here in Cross Lake, and I would like to thank the Chamber and their committees. You saw a few of the talented folks standing here. I just think it's great. Our city staff supports it. I know that Ted Strand has had some questions about why he's clearing snow earlier this week. And in case you didn't notice, we had about 4.5 or 5 inches of the white stuff. And it takes them, you know, they're not highly staffed, so it takes them a few days to get it out of the way, and we really thank them for that. They do a great job. Anything else? Anybody else want to come up? We're a couple minutes away from the public hearing.
Squeeze in that mayor's report.
Huh? I just did. I
Nicely
had two
done.
things on it. I had the town hall meeting, and I got the St. Patrick's Day. There was one other thing.
I was going to say you can do F1.
I think we should do F1. All right, Shar. City Administrator's report. Who's giving that? Must be the clerk. Oh, no. The capable Mike Lyonese.
We just have time for the first item on there. In your packet, there's a memo from Shar asking for permission to put the council minutes, or not the minutes, but the council tape or video on YouTube. There's been some requests. Not everybody has access to the TV station when they're not in Cross Lake, so the request is to put them on YouTube so people outside the community can see them. So to do that, we need council permission to post those.
I'll make a motion, we post it on YouTube.
That's
Can we
correct.
post hours of video on YouTube? Is that permissible? Does it cost anything?
No.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Oh, go ahead, Gary.
Well, I make the motion, seconded by Hecox. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This could go viral. Hundreds of thousands of hits. I
Hey,
can
let's
see it
behave
now.
ourselves now, otherwise it will, you know. Oh, we could do the other one. Why don't we set the date for the local Board of Appeal and Equalization? Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, it's currently suggested that we meet April 17th at 10 a.m. If there are no problems, no discussion, is there any?
No, that is your choice.
Well, I understand.
Yep.
Need a motion to approve.
Yes, we need a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Moved by Wessels,
Second.
second by Nelson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now we're at 7:15.
Okay.
Can you hold on the rest
Yep,
of
I
that
can hold.
report? Okay. We have on our agenda a public hearing for a road vacation. Who's leading the charge on this one?
Mr. Mayor, it might make sense if I could try to explain the facts in the request, and then you could open it up for any public comment, and then come back to council for any questions or comments, and obviously a vote in the end, if that works for you.
Okay?
It's usually best to try to describe something like this by just looking at a survey or a picture. So the applicant owns lots 3 and 4. My finger kind of eats up there's her home, right here. And her garage sits right here. And her property also goes right here, is actually part of her lot. But then the rest of Lot 2 is owned by another owner. And the request here today is, this is all inside the plat of Hidden Valley, and there's Rush Lake, sorry, over there, as a reference point, off of 16 here. But Birch Lane now dead ends right before her garage. I'd have to blow it up even farther, but there's a proposed small addition right in here, and like a roof overhang on the garage, and it's going to get too close to the current end of the right-of-way, which is right here. And so the request is simply to this square, which is shown as kind of a B on the survey. That's the proposed area to be vacated. So instead of the road ending right here, it would instead end right here. And again, in this case, the applicant owns on all 3 sides, other than the road itself, of the proposed vacation. And the other thing you're looking for, of course, is how does it impact or affect access to anybody else? Lot 2 is here, and they still would have the same frontage along Birch Lane for their access. So those are the facts as I know them, in terms of what's being requested. Hopefully that explains it.
Somehow it doesn't make sense. Where is Hidden Valley? We got a locator map or anything, or can you
Like
explain
more of a
to me?
bigger aerial photo?
Oh, I don't
Yes.
care. You can just tell me.
Sorry, it's, what's the way to,
Surprise you, by the way.
yeah, no, oh,
Turn on Highway 16
yeah, maybe I could put that in
by,
there.
by Moonlight Bay. There you go. Put that on there and zoom it in.
Should have been thinking of that.
You're close, but not quite. You gotta move over. You're not on there yet.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my bearings again now that we
Oh,
move
going
it
the wrong
over.
way.
That's not that.
There you go. Whoop, now you went too far down.
It's hidden in there somewhere.
Yeah, hidden, huh? Okay,
You're not there yet.
why don't you, Mark, do you want to come over here and find it?
Back across the
Come on,
corridor
Mark.
or the causeway. There we go.
Here's where I wanna be.
There it is. Okay, let's put your finger on it. Does that help kind of get your bearings?
Yeah, well, put your thumb on it, or put a pencil
I
on
gotta
the
find it. This
lot
print
we're
is
talking
ridiculously
about.
small.
The whole thing makes sense. I just,
Can you zoom it?
Well, theoretically.
you know where it
There
is,
you're
Mark?
going. You're in the right spot there. You're pretty close. That little bay there right towards the top, that's
Where am I in the,
right there.
Right
Whoop, that
there.
bay right there is Hidden Bay, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Hidden Valley. Not Hidden Bay, Hidden Valley.
Is that part of that old resort?
Some of it was, but this is next to it. This is south of what was the old resort.
Yeah.
But I think that's why hence the name, right? Because
Yes.
it was
I
known
think
as Hidden
that's the
Valley from
namesake,
the old
yeah.
resort days.
Yeah.
I don't have the history and kind of how it developed or any of that, but at least I told you where, where it's at.
When you looked at that survey though before, that north line of that property was actually the south line of the resort. This property in question wasn't ever in the resort. It's just right next to it.
Is there any, from your
That's a
perspective,
good
is there any issue with this?
My only question would be for Mr. Strand, because if that's where they turn around snowplows now, will they be allowed to turn around there?
Good
This
evening,
isn't one of
Ted.
them we maintain.
You don't maintain this? Then you don't have an issue. That makes it easier.
It's dedicated to the public, but we've never accepted it, so.
Okay.
We did run this by, as always, through all the departments, and there was no negative comment. I should have, or positive, to be honest. I mean, there was no comment from any of the staff, as I recall.
Can you outline again for me
Yeah, I should
what's
start
all
over.
being vacated?
So first of all, I think historically, not now, but way back when, this is the north edge of the plat that Mark was referring to.
Yep.
There are houses up here. There we are. But they come in from a different road. So this access never provided access to those properties. And it was there. And as you can tell, there's a garage sitting in the middle of the old right-of-way now, so that, this part was vacated years ago, I believe. And so right now, again, the current road stops right there.
Okay,
Okay,
And the request is simply to move it so that the north, or the top line of the road stops right here. So basically, that's 21 feet of roadway, 21.5 feet, that they're asking to vacate. And basically, it's to get that edge of the road farther from their garage, so when they do a little roof overhang or addition to that, it doesn't have a setback violation.
it's an interesting point, Brad. That should be a public right-of-way, but according to Ted, it was never approved or accepted, the Track B, or whatever it is down here.
Plus, it's interesting because they have the real estate that goes all the way around this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like it ever got to the, you know,
What about this, the extension below the capital B?
Well, the road, obviously, you get out to the public road from this away. You go south or towards the bottom anyway to get out to the public road and get out to the county roads.
So that is, technically, that is public right-of-way.
Well, so same debate or topic we've had over the past meetings. So it's dedicated to the public.
All right,
And it's a public plat, it's filed with the county like all the plats within Cross Lake. But just because someone files a plat and dedicates it to the public does not mean that Ted or his predecessors had to accept it as a city road and maintain it. So in this case, it never was. As you can tell, looking at this width right here,
yeah.
he doesn't like maintaining 20-foot wide right-of-ways. I mean, this is an old plat, and that's very narrow, so,
Okay,
is this what
Is
they
the
already
owner-
own, or is just this
yeah,
square
yep,
that we're
back-
vacating?
he's asking what the ownership is again. So the applicant owns, the easy part is, so hard to, I'm looking at things and it's not all on the overhead. Okay, so here's the main original platted lots of 3 and 4. And this garage would not have been in her platted lot. So years ago, this was vacated, and also this area that I'm trying to put my pen around right now
Yep,
is that also is in her fee ownership. That's that's tied to lots 3 and 4. That was all done years ago to correct this garage being built there. I did a title search to kind of see what happened, and that was done quite a while ago. So right now, that's not city right-of-way anymore, and the applicant owns on the other side of this over here. And so basically, she surrounds this box, and she just wants to move it to there.
so the box lettered B, that's what we're vacating.
Yeah, well, that's the proposal.
Is the applicant here this evening?
I don't know, to be honest. I'm not seeing anyone wave or nod, so I guess not. I just talked to her on the phone, so I don't
Okay,
know what she looks like.
looks like a reasonable request to me. Are there any objections?
Well, before we had more council comment, we should always open it up to the public to see if there's any opposition.
Okay,
I did mail notice to adjacent landowners as part of the process, and we also published in the paper. So we should have a motion to open up the public hearing at this time.
I'll make
Also
that
move.
motion.
I'll second it.
Motion second made, all in favor?
Aye.
We are now in the public hearing, is what I understand.
Yeah, is there anyone here that would like to speak on this issue?
Did we have any written or
I've
email?
received no comments from anyone, staff or citizen.
Nothing.
Looks like you probably could, by mayoral action, you can go into close now and just say that on the record there's been no comment.
Motion to close the public hearing.
We can do it by
Need a
motion if
motion.
you want a second.
So moved.
Second? I'll second the motion. A motion by Wessels, second by Rowe. All in favor to close the public hearing.
Aye.
Aye.
So we're looking for a motion if you're ready to vote, or if you have any more questions, or making sure you understand the request. Basically, if this were approved, I would record it on behalf of the city, and title would revert back to adjacent landowners, which in this case would be the applicant, since she owns on all sides.
I think it's a reasonable request.
And obviously, no opposition to it.
You go.
I'm just saying that, you know, I mean, obviously, there's no other adjacent property owners that have any problem with this. Nobody's here. So,
Make a motion to approve?
I second.
Motion Wessels, second Nelson, to approve the vacation of the end portion of Birch Lane. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is approved.
Mr. Mayor, may I make one more comment? Maybe this is the right time to bring up one other point. We were going to have on the agenda another vacation action, which has been in front of us several times over on Manhattan Point. Bilski was the applicant on that one, but we, at the request of Mr. Bilski, that's been tabled indefinitely until he has time to come back. He has some other ideas or surveys he wants to show us. Basically, he would ask us to table that discussion until he was ready to present that information.
As I
So just an
understand it,
update.
Mr. Person, once the applicant has deferred on acting on an application like this, it's an open issue. It just stays there. There's no time limit on it. Is that correct?
Well, maybe a couple of ways to respond to that. One, actually, you asked that question, I remember quite a while ago. Does the 60-day rule apply to vacations? My answer to that was no. But even if it did, if the applicant asked for an indefinite extension, the city no longer is stuck with that 60-day rule. And he did that in writing. I have that from my records. So
Good.
there is no deadline for us to act at this point. It's up to him to bring that back when he's ready.
We will wait for the applicant to bring it up again.
If I recall too, there's some fees involved, and when we extended it for him before, we agreed to, he wouldn't have to reapply with new fees. Was that, I thought there were some fees, and if you ran past that date, we allowed him to, we're not going to make him reapply on the fees.
How I don't recall, to be honest, that discussion, but how I would analyze this file is we haven't taken final action on it.
Okay.
So it's been presented, it's been tabled a couple of times by motion, but we've not said yes or no. So if he comes back in July, there wouldn't be a new fee. I mean, it'd be the same application because we really haven't
Right.
taken final action yet.
But
There was some question about that, I know, last fall, so that's why I wanted to bring it up, just to make,
as I understand it, then the timing or the reaction to this application is out of our hands at this point until he brings it up again.
Bilski,
Still
we're
an open
referring to?
issue. Huh?
Bilski, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, from the city side of the fence, just because the applicant wants to wait, I mean, at some point, I suppose, because there's been some comment and feedback from others,
Okay.
we'd want to give Mr. Bilski notice again, but we could unilaterally, on our own initiative, bring it back for some sort of action. It wouldn't be our vacation application at that point, but we could put it on an agenda for more discussion about some of the issues if we feel that too much time is elapsing.
Thank you, Brad.
So we can put that back
Good
on at
point.
some point if you'd like.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lyonese, I think you're back on the agenda again with the administrator's report.
Okay, we're on item F3 on the agenda. I'll just put that up here. If you remember back to our January 27th meeting, we were directed to obtain financing for the pieces of equipment that are listed up here. The parameters for this general obligation equipment certificate was a certificate amount not to exceed $575,000, with annual payments to be not to exceed $150,000. We've gone ahead and done that. So what I need from you as a council is a resolution authorizing the issuance of these certificates to pay for the equipment that I've got listed up here. Attached to that memo is the detail recommendation from David Brown and Associates. And what this will do is, if you remember, the reason we kept the payments at around 100, below that $150,000 level, because in 2016 is your last bond payment on the 2006 A bonds, I believe. That's about $150,000. So we decided to reassign that levy to pay for this issue. So your first principal payment will be in 2017, and you'll have the levy dollars to do that. So if that's acceptable to the council, which I'm assuming it is, some of the equipment's already here, I believe, Ted. And so now it's time to pay for it.
So just finalizing the ship that
just
sailed last
finalizing.
month, okay? So,
We're finalizing what we did last month.
yep.
So what I need, go ahead.
I'll make that motion to approve this.
I'll second it.
We had this conversation at length in January.
Wessels makes a motion, Heacock seconded, to, as I understand it, issue equipment certificates for the listed equipment?
That's correct.
That's right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody not in favor? No? Okay. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, the second item on that same memo is, you remember back in December of last year, we contracted with CTC IT to help us with our technology needs. Part of that technology need was to upgrade our 2001 server that's in the back room. We're ready to go with that. And so what I'm asking for is permission to go ahead and order the equipment so we can do the install and upgrade to a current server with current software on it. The estimated cost of the server equipment is about $3,500, and we're going to split that between admin, planning and zoning, and the sewer department. And that server houses all of our finance programs and sewer billings and things like that. So the request is to get a motion to approve the acquisition of the equipment for that upgrade.
Was that budgeted?
Yes, it is.
Yes?
Yes.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Motion Rose, second Nelson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The last item on that page is
Planning and zoning one.
planning and zoning. If you look behind me, you'll see a row of file cabinets in the clerk's office. Those file cabinets contain all the paper records for the planning and zoning, the building permits, the septic permits, everything that you need for planning and zoning. When we started doing business with the county, we converted all of that to electronic.
Have you scanned that all in already?
My understanding is, yes, it's all scanned in.
Wow.
All those records are electronic now. Part of the records they use that everyone comes in and looks at is what's called the ARC software, which is basically all the GIS maps you look at when you're doing the work Brad just went through. We need to upgrade the computer that John Colstead uses. We're starting to have some performance issues with that item, and so we went back to the county and said, what do you suggest we look at? Right now, what we want to do is increase the capability of that computer to continue to go with the paperless records. The cost of that upgrade to get the new hardware and get the a current version of Windows and continue to go forward with that process is about $2,700 for the workstation. Right now, we're using a desktop computer that I think has 6 mega RAM in it. Either way, we need to replace the computer. It's about 4 or 5 years old. We're looking at around 16 mega RAM to run the software properly. And that is the main focal point for all the planning and zoning traffic, if you will, between the electronic records and the city records for that purpose. So the request is a motion to acquire the equipment to continue on with that process.
You want?
We need to replace the computer for that.
Okay.
Okay?
You budget it?
Yes.
It's in the capital outlay budget for
Wessels makes a
2015.
motion.
I'll make a motion to replace the existing GIS desktop computer with a new workstation at approximate cost of $3,000.
I'll second it.
Second, Heacox. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay. The last item I have on there is item F4, And Dan has it listed as an update on capital planning. And what we're referring to with that is in mid-February, we received an updated plan from WSN on the proposed road projects. What we haven't done is presented those proposed road projects or the updated capital outlay plan for roads only to the Public Works Committee. So we're in the process of doing that. And the second part of that was to meet with the financial advisors and start talking about how we're going to plan for this when we do the budget process coming up this summer. So the purpose of me talking about it now is just to update the council as to where we're at with that process. So there'll be more to come on that going forward. Okay, any questions?
Yeah. I have asked you over time to give us a, I don't know, worksheet on showing us what our taxable shortfall is going to do to us. And it's pretty obvious to me that if we were to finance $1,000 every year for the next 5 years, in the 5th year, depending upon how we shuffle payments, in the 5th year, our debt service would be equal to the debt that we incurred on the 1st year. In other words, we're just kicking the can down the road. And I think the public deserves to know that we are deferring an obvious expense. You got, Mike, please comment on that.
Well, the first thing you need to decide before you talk about what's going to happen with your shortfall, as you put it,
Yep.
is what are you going to do? And yes, I'll acknowledge you've asked me this several times, and my response has always been, that's great. But you still need to decide what you're going to do. So without getting in, this is a copy of the plan. I've just written the numbers on here on the side so you can see them because it is quite small. In year one, it doesn't matter what the project is. We're just going to talk dollars here. And so a little over 650,000, 486,000 in year two. And then we jump up to some larger projects. I'm having the same problem you did with this. $1,317,000, $1,217,000, then it tails off. And these were all projects that we've talked about before. They were projects like Manhattan Point Boulevard, 2015, Dream Island Bridge, 2016, 2017, Anchor Point Road, and some other projects, 2018, Daggett Bay Road, and 2019, Lake Street and Perkins Road. So this is the plan I mentioned earlier that we're in the process of starting to discuss. So your question is, for the sake of argument, let's just assume we issue debt for the whole thing, because it makes it easy on my end to put a nice picture together for you. Make it smaller.
Like that?
Yeah. Okay, so, and this isn't intended to make a decision on, it's just for illustrative purposes only.
Appreciate that, and that's all we asked.
And so, if you look at the dark color bars, those are the 5 debt issues if you issue debt for the project in 1 year. Each year you issue debt. The taller columns show the total outstanding debt at the end of each year after the payments are made. And you can see you get to about year 5 is when you'd have the most debt because you have 5 issues outstanding because that first issue wouldn't have been paid off yet. So then your next question should be, if we continue that example, and I'm just assuming level payments over 10 years, okay, at 3%, just to pick a number. So if we did that, to Mr. Rowe's point, this is what happens to your levy to service that. Principal and interest payments each year. Because in year 1, you're not really paying anything. In year 2, you issue debt, and you make the first payment on year 1 debt in year 2. In year 3, you're making principal interest payments on the debt you issued in year 1 and 2, and year 3 and year 4, and so on and so forth. And so you can see with the plan that we'll be discussing, going forward, it shows the same curve, if you will, as the outstanding balance of the debt. The more that you have outstanding, the higher your payments are going to be in those middle years when you've stopped issuing debt. Now, this is just assuming new debt. So when you get into, looks like year 2020, you're at about $500,000 of principal and interest payments on those items. Now, that's assuming you didn't receive any grant funding and you didn't assess any of the project. That's just assuming you paid for it all with levy, okay?
But this is only road projects, if I'm...
That's only road projects.
And that doesn't include heavy-duty maintenance, bridge replacements, equipment purchases, and the like.
No, it doesn't.
I don't mean to be critical, because I really would like the public to know...
But this one does.
...that we're going to need another $500,000 in our budget to service the debt. And that's what this says to us.
If you decide to do those projects.
But we've, well...
Yep. They're for
sure.
discussion.
But I wouldn't expect us to be any more than $500,000 short in the coming years when I look at all of the, should I call them wish lists?
Sure.
That were presented here at the end of 2014. And so my concern is that we recognize what we're driving ourselves into, and that we're going to have to be prepared to somewhere in here increase the tax levy. And to me, the earlier we do it, the less the increase is.
Right, and to that end, I thought, let's make it simple. Let's not have uneven payments. What would happen if we issued $1 million a year for 5 years?
Yeah, that was my question to you, basically.
This is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Same scenario.
Yep.
If you issued $1 million of debt for things, whatever those things are, paid them off over 10 years at 3% interest, this is one example of what that might look like, based on what the interest rate is and how much debt you issued. Now,
That's the debt level, that's not the service, though.
no, the service is substantially higher, as you would expect. It follows the same curve as example 1. The only difference is the numbers are higher. So I hope that puts that part of your question to rest.
Good
Okay.
presentation, I appreciate that, Mike, thank you.
I do have one last item.
Huh? Yeah?
Last week of February, you may have noticed a group of people in here with a bunch of computers looking at a bunch of numbers. Those were the city auditors. They completed the audit the last week of February. They're planning to present the results of that audit at our next council meeting. I believe it's at the meeting in April. There were no adjustments and no compliance findings.
Great,
So
it's good news, thank
we're
you.
about as clean as you could be.
Good.
Okay? Any
Thank you.
questions on that?
Thank you.
Okay.
I just think it's important to note, and the graphs proved it, that show it anyway, that once we start building infrastructure, we acquire equipment, we build bridges, we also have to be prepared to maintain them. And some of these expenses that we're going to incur are going to be called capital expenditures, or we're going to have to debt finance them. And I'm not a debt liker, so it gives me a little trouble. But it's interesting to note, Mark, how much did the 4% increase in our budget this year that we levied for, what'd that result in? It was only $10,000, $12,000,
What was the number again? 126,000 per,
126,000, that's it.
28,000 for every 1%.
28,000 for 1%, yeah.
So it gives you an idea of what this can cost. Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much.
I would just comment, part of my realization with getting involved here with City Council is, the plan that the city of Cross Lake and the citizens of Cross Lake need to see is, what needs to be done. Okay, you need to replace the road I'm going to go back to this. I wasn't a favored child when I said this in January when I was just asking some questions, but you don't need to build bicycle paths. You need to fix roads. But what is the citizens, the taxpayers' stomach for levy increases? And I think there's a balance here where we got a little behind the eight ball, and I agree with you, Mayor, that I think that that the funding that's available right now at incredibly low interest rates that we don't know how long interest rates like that are going to stick around is an incentive to go out and make a long-term plan, not just 5 years, but 10 years, you know. I mean, 5 years is, you know, councils change, people come and go, and it will be crossed over with, you know, we're probably a little behind the eight ball on the levy. You know, you're going to need to bring in a little and compensate, you know, initially to take the hit off of the end, because it only gets more expensive if you wait.
Yep.
So the projects that you know you need to do, you get done, and we need to go out to the citizens and we need to find out, you know, what is the stomach once again. If you're going to do, and I'm going to use Anchor Point Road as an example because I live on it, you know, so you need to pave it and you need $500,000. You're going to add a bicycle path to it and you're going to need an extra $200,000. Those were kind of just rough numbers, plus or minus 10 grand, 20 grand here or there. But, you know, so do you want the road? Do you have the stomach for the extra two? You know, that percentage-wise, you add that bicycle path and that, you know, and you start doing that all over town, that's a whole different deal. So what do people want to pay for? But I agree with you on the fact that I like the idea of borrowing money when money's, you know, long-term money is cheap like it is right now. But I think also, you know, I agree with you that some of it's going to have to come from a good plan and looking into grabbing some of it with a little bit of a levy increase. So, my comment.
Thank you, Brad. It is difficult. It is truly difficult, and I've learned a lot of things from this. The other thing, we can't save our way. We can't cut our way to success, and we can't save our way and obligate future councils. We've learned that over the past years, that we've put some money away, and we used it to keep the taxes down, and that's fine. But all of a sudden, here we are. We're at the end of that, and we need to make some changes. Thank you, Brad. Any other comments on that? Moving right along. Planning and zoning, Chris Pence.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have 4 items on the agenda to discuss tonight. The first is just to give you a quick update on the 2014 numbers. We're already into March, but I just want to give you an update on just what we saw for permit numbers and some other things. So it's included as part of your packet. I'll put it up there. We saw in 2014 new construction. We had 36 new dwellings. We had 27 new septic systems, 24 upgrades. And there are numerous permits, as you see here, but a brand total at the end being 277 total permits were issued in 2014. We had 14 complaints, and we were able to resolve and get all those closed out, so none of those complaints are open. I think the next couple numbers are what really are really important, I think, when you get down to the customer service numbers. Over almost 4,100 customer contacts in 2014 through either the counter, phone, email, or meeting people on site. That's pretty active for a town this size to have over 4,100 visits where you're talking to people either on the phone or through email, any of that communication. So there's a lot of workload, and there's a lot of going on in the office, as you can see by those numbers. What's important to note, though, are the site visits. Staff did 487 site visits in 2014. We're in the field, 487 different properties, reviewing permits and meeting with contractors, homeowners, approving permits, reviewing permits after they've been issued, going out to verify if erosion sediment control been in place. So almost 500 site visits were put into place by staff. And so I think that's important to note, that not only are permits being issued and going through that process, but there is a follow-up. And so we just want folks to know that as they're doing that and they're working on their projects, if something comes up, there's a little bit of a change in what was approved, it's best to have that conversation on the front end versus when we discover it on the back end and then have to go through an after-the-fact process. So we're out there, and we have staff that are out doing a lot of site visits, and we expect there to be more coming up in 2015. For the septic systems, we had 162 compliance inspections submitted. Only 3 of those failed, for a passing percentage of over 98%. That's a good number, and we're working on getting the other 3 upgraded, so getting through that process. We had a total of 23 variances applied for in 2014, with 21 of those being approved. There were 3 conditional use permits, and those were approved. And there's 1 amendment to the zoning map, and that was denied, and 3 subdivisions. And it's important to point out, too, that as we went through the process, we began the development review team process in April. And so we've had 29 of those people come through that process of just talking about what does it mean to go through a public hearing long before they get the surveys and go through the process. And that's been a very positive, with a lot of good positive feedback from folks on the development review team process. So that's the 2014 report. Are there any questions about that? All right, I'll move on to just quick for 2015. And where we're at so far through February, and I don't think anybody's going to be too surprised to see that not too much activity is happening. We've issued 1 new house permit in both January and February, and then also a shoreline alteration permit. So things are not real busy this time of year. We get to work on projects, as Brad had mentioned, or as Mike, excuse me, mentioned about the scanning project and getting all those files up and running. So we're working on that right now. We do expect things to change with this seasonally warm weather. I think people will start to get the itch to start some spring projects. So we do expect to see some more activity from folks on the permit side. Are there any questions about the 2014, our 2015 report to date? All right, the next item that I have to discuss, if you look on your where you were at your tables there, I put a map, and what it is, it's a map of the city and impervious coverage. And I just want to talk a little bit about a study that the county did on lakes in the city of Cross Lake. And back in 2012, the county began a process of looking at impervious coverage amounts on individual riparian lots on county lakes. And impervious coverage, really what it means is hard surface on lots. It's hard surface on lots that don't allow water to soak into the ground. And we are limited by state rules on the type of amounts of impervious that we can have on our lots. And as the county was going through the water planning process in 2013, one of the facts that came out was what types of impervious coverage are we seeing on our lakes in the county? And the assumption's always been it's really, really high, and there's a lot of impervious coverage. And so what we did was using GIS, assessor records, let's see if we can zoom that down a little bit. We were able to go around and look at all the different impervious coverages on lakes within Cross Lake. With all the lakes we went through and did, looking at just all the waterfront lots. And what we found was that if you look on this map, say this is just kind of a snapshot in the map that you have in front of you, if you see the lots that are colored in green, those are lots that have 0 to 15% impervious coverage on that lot. If you're yellow, it's 15 to 20. Orange is 20 to 25, and anything that's red is over 25% coverage. And what we did basically to do this was, one, we used existing GIS data that we could go on and measure widths of driveways and that sort of thing. And then we also used assessor records, because the assessor comes out and does quintile reviews of all property every 5 years, and they know every square inch of every building in the city, so that they can fairly set valuations and property valuations using that data. And I'm not going to get into the specifics of each individual lake or anything like that to show you the map, but what I did want to show you is just the averages, just give you a snapshot of what things look like. Let's see, I wonder if we can darken that. Was there a darken on there?
I don't know.
Well, basically what it shows is that the impervious number that really starts to show the potential issue with water quality going down is when that number hits about 15%. And so you can see, we have 3 lakes that are at that 15% and above. They'd be Loon, Big Trout, and Daggett. And then you have the other lakes, Island, Cross, Whitefish, that are at that 13, Rush, Little Pines at 10. And so what that lets you know is that that's why it was really important when the council approved the ordinance revision about this time last year for the shoreline ordinance to have impervious coverage set 15% for stormwater plans, because the higher the impervious coverage, the more runoff, and the more runoff means more phosphorus, and more phosphorus means dirtier water. And by having those stormwater plans for those lots that are over 15%, what it does is it helps to keep the lakes within the city, helps to keep them healthier and clean. The real bottom line of what this data is useful for is a couple things. One is that when we have our citizens come to the counter and they want to start talking about getting permits, we have a snapshot right off the bat of what we're dealing with for impervious coverage. And so it helps citizens to understand what does that mean as far as impervious coverage and limits to the property. But it also gives the city some opportunities to apply for some grants if they wanted to. When you're looking at Clean Water Fund grants from the state, what they want are facts, and they want information that they know. And so this map, this information that we have, one opportunity would be to possibly partner with the Soil and Water Conservation District and try to get grants to work with folks to put stormwater management plans on their property or shoreline waters, to help some grants to do that sort of thing. So these are just, what this is really just facts and numbers about the impervious coverage limits that you see so far in Cross Lake, and you know, as we go forward, what does that mean, you know, as far as development and what's happening within the city. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Is this map available on the website?
What I was hoping to do after the evening, after I presented, I was hoping to put this up on the website. I do have some snapshots where we break the city up into quadrants, so it's a little bit easier to see that the parcels aren't quite so small on here. And so the idea would be to put this up on the website so folks can go take a look at it and, you know, zoom in on their lot and see how things are looking for impervious coverage and that sort of thing. So what it really does, I think, is just begins the conversation. Impervious coverage is the driver for clean water. And that's the science shows it. And what this does is really just begins that conversation of what do I have on my property? What can I do as an individual property owner to do to keep the lakes clean that we value so much up here in Cross Lake? Are there any questions about this?
That's very good information, I think. I'm surprised to see some of these lakes as low as they are.
Some lakes are pretty low. Yeah, some lakes are pretty low. What we've got here, let me find it, just to give you an idea at what other lakes have been done in the county. Let's see if I can find it. Of course, it's probably...
Once I look at some of these red marks on the lakes, some of those are fairly new.
This is here. This is a study. This is a study that was done. This was actually technically phase 4 of the study. We've done 3 other phases looking at different lakes within the county, and now this year we're getting into some of the cities. So we've actually looked at some of the lakes like Round Lake, the part that's in Nisswa, and those sorts of things. But what's been surprising overall is the overall numbers being as low as they were. I think we had some assumptions walking into it that the numbers were going to be really high. And if you take a look at, like, say, North Long, 6.2% was the average impervious on those lots. If you take a look at Whitefish on here, 4.8% on Whitefish. Now, this is the part that's not in Cross Lake. This is the unincorporated Ideal Township, Timothy Township area. You know, 4.8% on Upper Whitefish. So the numbers, we were pretty pleasantly surprised at this. And so then what we began to look at is, well, okay, so that maybe it's because everybody's got really, really big lots. And then we began to look at what does that impervious coverage mean closer to the shoreline if you didn't use it. And the numbers were pretty close. I mean, it was really surprising that the impervious was as low. And I think that shows why overall, the county has good water quality. Overall, there's good water quality within the county. Are there any questions on that at all? I'll just move on to my last item then. When I was here last meeting, I informed the city about the Crow Wing County Aquatic Invasive Species Prevention Plan that was approved by the county board in February. And as part of that, as I'd mentioned before, was that the county has identified the city-county public works building site as a possible location for a decontamination station, as a spot where we would be able to bring in watercraft and be able to decontaminate those so that so we would be preventing the spread of aquatic invasive species. And so tonight what I'm here is asking for the city to approve the use of that property for that. I've been working with Brad. There's a joint powers agreement on that, and we think that there's a need for a slight addendum to that agreement to include the location of the decontamination station out there. And but right now, the cost is going to be completely covered by the county to purchase the equipment. There's going to be a shed, there's going to be a power sprayer, a power washer, And then there'll be other things that we're going to need to get. The city is going to, we're going to get water and electricity from the city, but everything is going to be, there'll be all inspectors that work there will be all paid through the grant that the county got from the legislature last year. And so the cost of the city, there won't be any cost of the city. We're just looking for a central location that's going to have an ease so that people can get in and out can get in and out easy. If you look at, got a map here, kind of shows you about where we're thinking of locating the decontamination station. So right there off of Whipple, so the folks can come in, get an easy turnaround. So it's hard to find a location where you can get boats in and out relatively easy. And so I'm asking tonight for permission from the city to use this as a decontamination location for an aquatic invasive species decontamination station.
When we approved a new well back some months ago, that was part for this, wasn't it? So the water supply become...
We've been working with Ted, who's been really great about being part of that conversation, so, yeah.
I thought that was part of it, that this was a potential. Right, okay. He's nodding yes back there. So you need a motion to use this site for...
Aquatic invasive species decontamination station, yes.
I'll just make a comment. Since this is a little bit my wheelhouse, I just went for my renewal of my license to be an approved, mover of boats and everything. So we just sat through the whole class again, and we're talking about all the monies that came down from the state, that's available for this and whatever. So, we're blessed in Crow Wing County that we got our fair share and to keep a safe eye on our waters. So I would make a motion to approve this without any questions whatsoever.
I'll second it.
Motion Nelson, second Hecox to approve the decontamination station
There you go.
at the Public Works site, I believe. That's where it is.
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any other
Thank you,
questions?
Brad.
All right, thank you very much.
Mr. Pence, if I could make a quick comment while you're up here. In my line of work, I frequently need to get copies of permits, septic status, that sort of thing. And the job they're doing across the hall over there is phenomenal. I'll send an email to John or Cheryl, and usually within a half hour or less, I have the latest information that they have, including permits and certificates on the septics.
Well, glad to hear that. John and Cheryl, I think, have really done a great job this year with their customer service and with being able to be responsive to people and getting permits and the inspections. So I appreciate that, and I know they do too. They're really proud of the work that they do, and I'm proud of the work they do also.
They even tolerate my poor jokes.
They try.
Okay.
On behalf of the council, I would like to thank you, Chris, for the job you and your staff are doing here. We're learning a lot. Also, I would like to commend you on the meeting that you held here and hosted, I believe it was last week, on the legal aspects of planning and zoning. You had the county people here, as well as a very knowledgeable attorney from Minneapolis, and I must admit, he was very in favor of reasonableness. I haven't heard that from that side of the bench very often, and I thank you for that. It was very interesting.
I think it was a worthwhile workshop and training, and I'm glad you're able to attend, and I think in the long run, I think it'll really pay off for the city.
I wasn't able to attend that meeting. I had a conflict, but I got a flyer from it that came, I think, in the council package or something. Are those available for people to pick up over here?
Absolutely. Yep, we got
The
copies
cover-
across the hall that people
Of what
can
was
come
covered
get.
in that meeting?
Yep, we have just a little informational packet that he kind of walked through, so, yep, absolutely. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Cross Lake Communications, Deb Florshinger.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. For our report tonight, the first thing we have is the 2015 list of professional organizations assisting cross-lake communications, and that is G2B in your packet. And we've made a few changes this year over last year. Pretty much the majority of them are in the consultants. We've added CTC Telecom, CTC IT, App and Glow, CNS, David Drown Associates, and the WISP Engineering. And then under financial institutions, we added R.W. Baird. And I need a motion to approve that.
Also move.
I'll second.
Motion Wessels, second Nelson. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. The bond refinance, as you know, has been completed, so that's all history for us. We had our cable rate increase recently. We had come to the council in January and we requested some rate increases not to exceed. We finalized our rate increases for basic cable at $3.46, expanded basic $6.94, and digital at $9.98. Along with the rate increases, we created new packages, and we sent out a letter to all of our customers, both here and on seasonal vacation. And included in the letter was information on the rate increase along with the packages. And we've received probably 70 customers that have converted over to packages now. And that's gone really well. So if any of our customers has any questions, please call our office and we'll do a price comparison for them. We also, in January, at our advisory board meeting, had a request that hasn't come to the council yet. Dave Fisher, a recommendation by our advisory board meeting to add Dave Fisher as an alternative board member. So I'm going to need a personnel committee meeting to meet with Dave and then finalize that and make a recommendation to the council.
Ms. Florshinger, I would like to propose that we have a personnel committee meeting after the joint communications company and council meeting and review of the financials. I believe that's on
March 19th.
March 19th. And so
Thursday.
we'll hold a personnel committee meeting after that.
Okay.
Yourself, myself, Dave Schrupp, I believe, and who else is on that committee?
Mike?
Mike Lyon, Mike, my apologies. Mike Lyonese. And so, I don't know how to announce that, but we will be meeting after the audit committee meeting.
Isn't it Dave Vogt, not Dave Schrupp? Or Dan Vogt, not Dave Schrupp? It's the fourth person, I think.
We need a second council member.
Oh,
It's Dave Schrupp.
it is Dave Schrupp.
Dan
Okay.
attends them, but he's
Oh,
not a member.
all right.
Time is the meeting on the 19th?
The council meeting is at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And the purpose of that meeting is to review the 2014 Cross Lake Communications audit.
They generally last
About an hour.
hour and a half, don't they?
Yeah.
So you can plan on the personnel committee meeting being somewhere an hour and a half after that,
Okay,
okay?
great. The next thing I have is the number 8 on our highlights. It's G2C in your packet, G2C and G2D. In 2005, we had the kind of direction for our advisory board, put together the policies and procedures and the introduction of authority. And at the January meeting, the council recommended that we take a look at this and update it. We have updated it as management staff, and we've taken it to our advisory board, who has looked at it, and they're recommending it to the council. So I guess at this point, I would field any questions, and then I would recommend that you, as a council, take it on and then finalize it.
I have a couple of questions, and I know one of the issues that most of the stuff's kind of just cleaning up boilerplate and getting the
Yep.
right labels on things. But in the past, it was the council liaison who was the chair of the meeting. After talking to numerous people, I don't necessarily object to that not being the case going forward. However, I see on Article 2, on the G2D, on the first page of that, Article 2, Section 2.01, it says the council liaison is a non-voting member. He was a chair before, now he's a non-voting member. That's really demoting the guy. I think, shouldn't the council liaison at least have a vote? if not being part of the chair. And then on the other package, doesn't have a page number, but on the back, second to the last page, I think that is, of the other package, which is G2C, it has definitions in the back, and number A, or letter A, is the, where that change was made there. And they don't seem to me to be quite the same. The wording maybe just needs a little clarification. But it says the chairperson, vice chairperson, and city council liaison means the duly authorized persons appointed to preside over the advisory board meetings. And so I'm not sure if that's quite worded correctly. And otherwise, I don't have a problem with what you're doing, but I think the wording maybe needs a little help. And
Which one? Where's that?
The definitions, it's on the package that's labeled G2C, that's the policy and procedures part.
Okay.
The second to the last page, it has definitions in letter A at the top of the page.
Yep.
That's where it says vice chairperson and city council liaison. So it's chairperson, vice chairperson, and city council liaison means the duly authorized persons appointed to preside over the advisory board meetings.
Oh, I see what you're saying. How should that be worded, Mark?
I don't know.
I think if you just said attend rather than preside, or preside over, I think that's the intent. It's correct. If you make the other change that's in the meat of the ordinance or the policy, the idea is not to preside anymore, but they still attend, obviously. This council would pick a liaison to attend those meetings. But I agree with Mark, the definition kind of conflicts with the change they were suggesting earlier on.
And
Making sense?
well, and that's one issue. Then the other, of course, was I still think the city, now, if you have 5 advisory board members plus a council liaison, you have 6, so you can't do that. So you probably need to have 4 advisory board members and a council liaison if he's going to be a voting, she is going to be a voting member. And I really think they should have that vote, the liaison should.
They don't on any other.
EDA we do.
Well, you were the one that pulled the definition on that said that we're not liaisons, we're members. Now, you got to remember whether we're liaisons or we're members.
Well,
And I think the liaison has been appointed to bring reason and reporting back to the council of the proceeds of any of these volunteer organizations, commissions, committees, what have you. This was changed in 2006 when they wiped out all the commissions and committees, and was brought back and said that the council should have a heavier hand with the telephone commission or communications commission. I think that personally that what do I want to say, cripples, it isn't the right word, but inhibits the volunteer portion of that committee. If the commission or committee members want to vote the liaison as chair, that's fine, they're free to do that. But I think that the commission should choose their chair. That's what I'm really working on, and then we can get volunteers again. We're having trouble getting volunteers on the commissions where the council wields a heavy hand on the commission.
I don't know.
I'm saying that a little abruptly, but that's...
I don't know if that's the reason or not. Maybe you're right, but I don't know if that's sort of the reason. But what I'm saying is we went from the chair with a vote to all of a sudden now he's just sitting on the sidelines. He doesn't have a vote anymore. If he's not the chair, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But I still think he should be a voting member. And
We don't have a vote on other committees. I don't know that this is any different, except that from an audit perspective and from an accounting perspective, they call the communications company an enterprise. And there's an argument there for the council being more involved than other commissions. And I understand where you're coming from, so
I mean,
how do we word this so it's okay with you?
well, to your point, not wanting the council liaison to be the automatic chair, I agree with you.
Okay.
We can go that far, but I'd still like them to be a voting member. And then it becomes the question, well, can we have 6 advisory board members who all vote? And I don't know that we can.
Well, you just...
so if you
advisory
subtract
board
one-
members are different than the liaison.
Well, but the city council liaison can also be a member.
One thing to remember, Mark, is that the advisory board is just a recommending body. The
Right.
city council still has the final vote.
Right.
So whether the liaison votes or not might not be that critical when the council still has the final vote.
I know that in that position, I have spoken up and told the advisory board I can't sell that to the council. And that's kind of a backhanded heavy vote, if you will.
I do that at Park and Rec once in a while, too.
Okay.
I
So you
can't-
do have quite a bit of authority as a liaison,
Well,
or influence maybe is a better word.
if everyone else here is in favor of leaving that as it is, I'm not going to be the one that has a hissy about it. I just think that we're backing off from what was formerly the chair with a vote, all the way now to just an observer.
Well, he's much more than an observer. He's a council representative on that commission.
This was put to the members and what they felt they would like to see happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
saying that it was, and if that's what they want to see happen,
All right.
as liaison, I'm fine with it, because it still comes back to here, and they approve their minutes of their meetings, so, you can't go back and say that he said, she said, whatever. I mean, they approve the minutes of their previous meetings, they agree on what they said, they agree on what actions were taken, so by the time it gets here, they can't look back at me or, in this case, I have to be liaison. So I have no problem with the way that, that they're setting it up, because, their actions are all, everything's recorded and everything, minutes are approved, so you can't go back and say, this wasn't right or that wasn't right. So I'm very much fine with that. That's just my comment. And that was a position that they were put in to ask to comment on this, and that was their comment, Mark, so.
All right.
Mark, I go along with you. I think that statement is clumsy. And how
On the
do we word
definition?
it so it looks right?
The definitions part, you mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I think if you just take city council out of there, city council liaison out of there, then it states what you want it to stay.
It really doesn't need to be in there, I guess, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, it
That's
says
not
there in the
really
line of authority.
You can't have 6 people voting.
No, but we're talking back in the definitions where it has chairperson, vice chairperson, person appointed to preside over the advisory board meeting. If we take out the city council liaison, you're going to be there anyway.
Can we take it out? Is that all right with you?
That's the language I'm talking about. It's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, that's a little clumsy, but.
All right.
Take
we
it
do
out?
that?
Okay. When-
With
the
that
one
change?
Yep, I'm all right with that.
With that change, I'll vote to approve. A motion to approve.
We have a motion, and we need a second.
I'll second it.
Heacock, second. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Thanks, Debbie.
Okay. Public Works, Mr. Strand.
Mr. Mayor, Council, what you have before you were two letters from the county, who is our bridge inspector, and one of them is February the 2nd, and one of them is February the 20th. Basically, they've gone through the bridges, and they've got some recommendations that my staff and I will be carrying out as far as maintenance on the bridges, is tightening and other things, some maintenance to the ramps, sealing, and that kind of thing. We'll be taking those and doing them as soon as we can. Otherwise, I have nothing for you.
Thank you, Ted. I found it interesting tonight that during the town hall meeting, you were commended for your snow plowing, and I thank you for that. Way to go. Keep up the good work.
We try.
Yeah, slow down. Park and Rec. Uh-oh.
Mr. Hinkie is on vacation. He is somewhere on a beach right now with an umbrella and a glass in front of him.
Oh, you can,
Good for him.
So, good for him.
I assume the liaison is going to substitute for him.
Yeah, we have a proposal, whether you can read through the entire report that he's got here. He put together a real nice survey, had a lot of comments, what people would like to see done down there, hours, suggestion for different hours. What the Park and Rec Committee basically recommends to the council is that we changed the current hours at the community center for the, we have a number of different things in here. One of the things is to change the hours, to expand the hours, and we've already got, I think, 25 or 30 new members based on the other one in town closed down. And so they're coming to us, coming to Park and Rec, saying, we'd like to stay in town, we'd like to keep working out here in town, where can we go? And could you guys expand your hours because I can't come at the times that you're open? And which current hours are 8 to 8, Monday through Thursday, Friday it's 8 to 5, Saturday it's 8 to 4, Sunday 1 to 5. And so what they're looking at expanding that to is, where's his note on that now? Expanding that from 5 a.m. We had a lot of requests for working out in the morning before work, before they go to work, local people that live here. And some of these people aren't just in town, but they're close to town, they'll come here. But otherwise they'll go somewhere else. But so we're, I think it was 5 in the morning till 9 at night, Monday through Friday. And then open, I believe it was, where's the new one at here? And I looked at this before too. It was going to be, I think it was going to be 8 till 4 on Saturday and Sunday through the summer. And what we discussed doing, first off, is will we get enough membership to pay for it? And can we find people to work those hours? So we discussed doing it as a trial basis, 6 months, give it a chance to see if we're, if nobody shows up at 5 in the morning, there's no point in being open that hour. And same thing with between 8 and 9 on a Friday night. If nobody shows up, there's no point. But until we're open for a little while to try it out, it's going to be a trial run at those hours. And the revenue that we bring in from the new memberships should more than offset that cost of staying open. But then there's some other things that we wanted to do too, and that he's got in here. He's got a bunch of stuff on here that I don't know he's going to have all that. Oh yeah, here's the hours on page 2, towards the end of section 1. It was Monday through Thursday. 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Friday 5 a.m. to 8 or 9. Council choose, and then Saturday and Sunday 8 to 4. That was and he's asking for permission to go ahead and do that. That's one of the things that they'd like us to do, and they'd like a council motion to do that. Again, this is going to be a trial basis, and they'll report back to us after several months. This is basically, he's looking for council approval. Can we try it out and see if it works?
Good.
So if somebody could make that motion, or I will. I'll make the motion that we go ahead and extend the hours this is at the community center, that would be not the entire community center. This is the weight room and the fitness center.
Will this not include?
The next one is item number 2.
Are all these to be voted on as separate items?
A lot of this is just informational purposes. That's that last paragraph on number 1 that needs a council action motion. A lot of that stuff does not need a council. It's just talking about some of the information provided to come to that conclusion.
Randy, your observation is correct. There are quite a few of these.
So it's that last paragraph of
Well, I mean, if he needs a credit card reader and things like that, we don't need to discuss all that individually, but I just saw
lump those together with a few
the
others.
question of the
Well, if you'd like to, we
hotel
can-
resort use, which I think is an obvious advantage. If you're going to do this, you want to make sure that those people are assisting and promoting it for you and made a part of the plan because they're the business community. So
Number 2 was the hiring of part-time, up to 4 additional part-time staff to cover the additional hours. These employees would be hired at a rate of $9 per hour. And he's familiar with the number of hours that they're allowed to work per month. And then you're right, the hotel part was the next one.
Yeah, there's some interesting ones here.
And then the software,
If you could take them each one by one.
be
Let's
easier.
just do them one by one. We
All right.
can go through them. There's not a lot of discussion.
All right.
So let's go
I'll make
back
the
to-
motion on the hours, extended hours.
We need a second?
second.
Any more discussion on the hours, expanded hours at the
fitness.
the weight room at,
What will it be on Friday?
I'd say start with 8 would be my comment, because I think people, on Friday nights, you got things to do, it's the weekend, it's whatever, you're already expanding it a little bit. I would say that, kill Friday night a little bit early at 8 o'clock, not 9 o'clock.
I'll modify my motion to say that.
It's just personal thought. I just think Friday nights, people are less apt to go out and work out a little later than maybe they are during the week. Everybody's working for the weekend, man. You don't want to be in that weight room too late.
All right, so my motion is modified that it's Monday through Thursday, 5 a.m. to 9 p.m., Friday, 5 a.m. to 8 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, 8 to 4.
that's your motion?
That's my
Is
motion.
there a second?
We had one who's going to...
Second.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Thank you, Brad. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
The next one is the hiring of a part-time staff to cover the additional community center hours. Again, we already talked about that, the $9 per hour, and I'll make the motion again to approve that.
I think one of the things you want to do with, well, let's get a second, then we can talk about it. Got a second from that?
I can second that, but
Motion by Wessel, second by Hecox. I've got a little discussion on that. Let's make sure that we direct John to include in the additional hours for these people, housekeeping or cleanup. They are expected to do the cleanup, and they can't get all of that done after they lock the doors when all the people are gone. So make sure you have that discussion with them anyway. So
Yeah,
you-
job definition to include.
yeah,
I mean, is what you're saying, job definition to include, basic
Housekeeping,
janitorial,
janitorial.
housekeeping duties, yeah.
Yep, yep.
It's a good idea. If nobody's there's no sense just sitting around doing nothing.
Well, then they won't need
Well,
the extra
it-
hours.
Need to make the point.
All right.
is there an age limit on this hiring of these people that are going to watch
I
this?
think they have to be 18.
What?
I think they have to be 18.
Okay,
Yeah, and we've, there's also,
because there's a lot of liability here.
there's some security issues, there's liability, there's all kinds of pieces that go with this. I've talked to John about this, and I'm satisfied that he will cover that with the people, and,
I also talked to him.
huh?
I also talked to him,
Good, well, we're ganging up on him then anyway.
yeah.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 The hotel resort use, that was, one of the Cross Lake hotels had used Anytime Fitness to provide extra equipment for the registered guests. Now that that business is closed, the hotel owner has no place to send their guests. The hotel owner, or hotel contacted staff early in February to make the request to utilize the community center for the registered guests. The consensus of the commission was to allow any hotel resort to utilize the community center fitness room for an annual fee of $600. The membership could be tracked with the addition of new software that we're getting to in a minute. For registering fitness room members and guests, staff could review this fee monthly to see how many guests were actually utilizing the facility. And the hotel would be provided passes that could be used by registered hotel resort guests. The passes could be tracked with a picture ID and would need to be presented by the user to utilize the fitness room. So the proposal is, please consider a motion to approve an annual fee of $600 per hotel resort for utilization of the Cross Lake Community Center fitness room. I will add, it's not in here, that $600 gives them 2 passes.
2 passes?
2 passes, that's not in here, but it's 2 passes.
What is the fee for a single residential or family or whatever?
Yeah,
on
it's
an annual basis? Do you
probably
know
in
what-
here, I don't remember what it is.
I don't remember. How much?
There we go.
260, there we go. All right, thank you.
260. So this was assuming that it would get more use because it's not one person, but you don't know. And that was one of the reasons we're going into some of this other stuff, is to find, so we better track who's using it.
Well, to give us additional use on weekends in the winter.
So I'll make that motion to approve annual fee of $600 per hotel resort for utilization of the fitness center. They get 2 passes for that fee.
I'll second that.
Motion Wessel, second Nelson. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The software, that gets kind of detailed here.
I wouldn't read that.
All right, that is to go along, well, they want it separately. And this is basically what this is for, and it goes along with the credit debit card user down below. Well, that's actually different, but this is going to be so you can So they can swipe a card as a member. So they get a membership card, they can swipe it. Well, if Jane or whoever's working down there doesn't know who Steve Rowe is, and Steve Rowe comes in and swipes it, and all of a sudden he's about half your height and half your weight, how do they know that? They want to be able to see a picture right on their screen. Oh, that's Steve, that looks like him. And so they'd be able to, and so in case they didn't know you, I'm sorry, I'm picking on you there.
Yeah, I know you're having a good time, too.
I'm not
so
real sorry.
I'm
Anyways, but you understand, because they can't possibly recognize everybody who's a member, especially not, and so when they swipe that, they'll get a picture right on their
Right.
screen. Yep, that's who's just walked in, and we have record that they're there.
Motion for new computer software for the community center. We need one.
I'll make that motion.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
The,
You've
Part of your
already-
discussion is, you know, that if you're going to start moving forward with expanded hours and business community and passes, and you almost need to do this to kind of back yourself up. And that's kind of a liability thing, too. It just ensures the security even more and gives you more tools. I mean, that's just part of technology, the way I see it, that you kind of got to go there if you're going to just have something other than a good old weight room in the back room. I mean, this is part of it, would be my comment.
Thank you, Brad. That's a good comment.
There is we discussed too you were there, Steve, at the meeting about cameras, and I don't see they have that in here. But that was just another, when you're working late at night, early in the morning, there's nobody around, that locked doors keep honest people out. If you got a camera on you, you're less likely to act like an idiot.
We can put up a dummy one, too.
Okay.
I got one on my desk at home.
And
Anyway.
that came from a few of the comments that were in here and some other comments that I heard too, where sometimes the ladies would go in there and there's nobody there. They felt a little bit uncomfortable.
Let's,
But that's not a part of this. He didn't have that here. So I don't know if we want to leave that for a,
well,
Well,
he can
just
bring
let
that up
John bring
again.
that up at a future time.
okay.
You know, if we don't have the current information.
Yeah.
I'll make
all
a
right.
motion, we approve the use of credit debit cards at the community center, recognizing that there will be a fee for their use.
I'll second.
Second, Wessels. Motion by Rowe. Any other discussion? Brad? Gary? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We want to, now he wants to purchase some big-ass fans. That's what it says in our packet.
Here.
Excuse me for that, I
We're
just,
not making that up.
too much fun. Go ahead, Mark.
Been several of the comments with the survey. He did a lengthy survey, and it's all here in this package, or if you don't have one, you can go online and see it. It's way at the end, so you don't have to look at all 200 pages, go to the end, and you'll see it. But a lot of people complain that there's not any air moving around in there. And people are working out and whatever, and just have a little air circulation. And I think this is I don't know this, Mike, do you know that they've got this kind of money in budget for this? It's $940 for a fan? They do. Okay, so we're good with that. So I'll make a motion that we buy the fans for the fitness room and the library.
3 of them, right?
Yes, 3 fans.
And it says that the library will pay for 2 of them. You want to make that a combined motion?
Yes. There's 5 altogether. Oh, there are 5 here altogether?
Are there 5 altogether?
3 for the community center, fitness room, you're right, and 2 more for the fans
Oh,
and the
2 in the
library.
library. All right, let's stay with the weight
So the
room.
$940 is in budget for the fitness room, so I'll make the motion that we purchase those 3 fans.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion?
Whose lifetime is the warranty covering? Says lifetime warranty.
Well,
Right here, it
most
says
of
fan,
us-
motors, and components, lifetime warranty.
That's a
Whose
good
life?
deal.
Big ass.
Well, that's what you get with that kind of fan.
I talked to John a little bit on, I don't know, Thursday or Friday, I guess it was. And he had purchased some other fans, and they only lasted, I don't know, 9
Well,
months or
if you
something
look
like
in
that.
the library, they wish they would have done that because they've had 2 fans that are
Yep.
less than 2 years old.
Yep.
So lifetime's good.
Let's see, we got a,
Whose lifetime, though?
you got the motion and
That was my
got the
question.
motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Gotta
All
have
right,
some
the
fun. with it.
library wants 2 fans also.
Fans are good.
They'll pay for them, it says.
Yep. I'll make the motion that we allow the library to purchase 2 fans that are needed there.
I'll second that. Motion Wessel, second row. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything else with that?
That's the end of
Park and
the
Rec crew of
Park
yours.
and Rec. John does a much better job, but I'm a rookie at it, so.
Oh, you got through it. A city attorney's report.
No
Mr.
report.
Person, you reported during the meeting, didn't you? What?
Did we didn't vote on it? Okay.
The vote? All in favor? All
Aye.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We were just too excited about the lifetime warranty. We forgot.
All right. No attorney's report. Any old business? New business, things we've omitted. How about the public forum again? Anybody want to talk to us some more? Motion to adjourn.
Also move.
Motion Nelson,
Second.
second Hecox. Meeting